What's going on, everybody? My name is Aiden and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, I recently saw a quote from, I believe it was a podcast in relation to Michael Porter Jr. And he said something that strikes a very interesting conversation. I'd like to talk about it a little bit in this one. So what did he say? Eventually, what he's saying is correct? Let's talk about it. Before we get any further though, if you liked the video, feel free to drop a like and subscribe if you are new, and let me know what you guys think about Michael Porter Jr., first and foremost, just as a player, maybe as a person, whatever you like. But also, what do you think about the quotes that he kind of mentioned here? And I have the quote with me, or I have the basic summary of the quote, and it's basically suggesting that not every player in the league works very hard to stay elite. And the way that I've kind of picked up that sort of quote is that many players in this league do not necessarily try hard at basketball. That's basically what I'm going to sum it down to, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to discuss this a little bit because it's staggering to me that, we're seeing players come out and say that guys that make multi-millionaires, millions and millions and millions of dollars are not actually working hard enough to be able to maintain that sort of stature in the league. And look, this does separate the great players from the good players to the I didn't sort of really make it sort of players. You see the good players, they probably do train and they probably work hard, but they're not necessarily working harder than the guys making the big bucks, making the multi-millions, making the, the rounds, if you know what I mean, and sustaining their career over a long period of time. And to be honest, I'm not surprised by this because this is not the first time we've heard players talk about the work ethic of some of the players. I could give you different examples here if you like. A podcast, DeMar DeRozan said, there are some sorry-ass players in this league. He said that on Paul George's podcast a couple of years ago. There are some sorry-ass players in this league. Now, if everybody in this league worked tremendously hard and kept up a good pace in terms of their workouts and everything, DeMar DeRozan wouldn't say stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, if everybody in this league is working hard and striving to get better, you would expect that there wouldn't be some sorry-ass players in this league, if you know what I mean. LeBron James, obviously he's promoting his son when he says this, but he basically said that Bronny could beat a whole bunch of NBA dudes, and this was when he was in college. And the only reason I could assume he would say something like that is for promotion, and because he knows, because LeBron James I'm sure he's probably said more than this, but this is the one that comes to mind. He knows there are many players in this league that don't work very hard. And Kobe's the same. Kobe literally went into practice and demolished everybody and said, do you expect me to work with these people? Because not many of his teammates were working hard. So again, work ethic has always been a discussion in the NBA. And at the end of the day, work ethic, examples of it are everywhere. So with that being said, let's talk about, whether or not I agree with Michael Porter Jr.'s take and whether or not things like this should kind of be addressed in many ways, or maybe it shouldn't. Because at the end of the day, how can you really control the work ethic of a team or a player itself? But it's important. It's important to talk about work ethic, and ultimately I do agree with Michael Porter Jr.'s take. I'm sure there are many players, even some of the best, that might not work very hard. Some have kind of maybe worked hard at the beginning and now sort of about maintaining. Some people are just naturally gifted guys, ridiculously gifted players, but never really had to work very hard for it. It just comes to them naturally. There are loads of players in the league that probably don't work harder than others, but is gifted enough that they could get away with it. It happens, ladies and gentlemen, It is what it is. But work ethic and trying to work hard to be elite, for the bulk of players, is an essential. So this is why I value when guys like DeMar DeRozan speak about things like this. It's because everybody can see how hard DeMar DeRozan works each and every single year, each and every single offseason. There have been many players that have worked with DeMar DeRozan, both young and old, that praise how much work he puts in the offseason. Zach LaVine is another one. I mean, these are two Bulls players, or former Bulls players, by the way, that I'm talking about, that everybody says they have ridiculously hard off seasons and ridiculously hard summers, and they work themselves to the bone and all these things. And guys like LeBron spend millions upon millions upon millions of dollars and works tremendously hard to keep his body right. Even guys that I'll give an example of Derrick Rose. Worked tremendously hard to have the career that he had, but all the injuries he sustained. He worked tremendously hard to get back to a very capable level in this league. And that's why he should be in the Hall of Fame and stuff of that nature. Work ethic, for some, is an essential part. You need to work hard to get to where they are. Unfortunately, not everybody feels that way. And unfortunately, not everybody wants to put in the work. And this is just the world that we live in, ladies and gentlemen. Some people will be willing to put in the work, will be willing to put in extra hours, will be willing to show not only themselves, but the people around them how much they want it, how much they need it, how much they care for it. And then you'll see people that could not care less. Don't have to really show what they're all about. Some people don't care about working hard. Some people are not interested. I've heard, I'm pretty sure Blake Griffin at one point said that there are so many people in this league that don't like basketball. They're just in there to make money. I mean, that's the world we live in. Some people will love their job. Some people won't love their job. Very, very important. But I think, and especially as we get more and more advanced in terms of the NBA and the skill demand is getting higher and higher, this is why it's important for teams to establish winning cultures in their organization. This is why it's important for teams to establish that. Sure, if you're good enough, if you're an MVP, let's just say you're Jokic. I know Jokic works hard. I'm not going to say he doesn't work hard, but, you know, Jokic is a player that everybody kind of thinks he doesn't really care about basketball, right? But he's an MVP caliber player. If you're an MVP caliber player, I guess, you know, you're a winning player. It doesn't really matter what people think about you, in or out. If people think you work hard, you don't work hard, it is what it is. You're good enough. But unless you're an MVP caliber player, you need to establish a winning culture and a hard-working group around you. You can't afford to have players that don't like basketball. You can't afford to have players that don't work hard. You can't afford, players with very low work ethic either. You need to have hard workers in your team now more than ever. And when things continue to get harder and harder in this league, it's going to become more and more of a priority. So I think work ethic is a big issue, but I do think over time, you're going to see the work ethic of players and the work ethic of teams and the winning culture, trying to establish that, become more of a vocal point for a team. You know, you can't be in a tanking position forever. Eventually, you're going to need to build yourself out of that. How does that happen? You need to get hard workers. You need to get passionate players. You need to get someone that's going to try to take the next step to elite status. You need these things in order to build yourself out of mediocrity. And then you need to start establishing winning cultures and winning habits. It's important more than ever. So I hope teams can kind of learn from something that Michael Porter Jr. said. I value Michael Porter Jr.'s opinion because you can say he doesn't work hard, but this guy has had massive back injuries that for many people probably would end their career. You know what I mean? You can question him all you like as a person. I've heard some wild stuff he's been saying on podcasts and whatnot, but that it is what it is. I'm not here to talk about that. I value his opinion on basketball because I truly believe he's a hard worker. I truly believe he built himself out of a situation that could have ended his career, and he has now made multi-million dollars in this league, in the NBA, because of his work ethic and because of his sustained talent and how hard he has to work to keep that talent. Many people with back injuries would call it a day. There's not many people that I could think of that has really bad back injuries the way that he did coming into this league. Yet he's still here and he's still a very big part of this league. So I value his opinion and stuff of that nature because I think he gets it and I think he knows, especially being around the league, that not many people are working very hard, or maybe some don't have to work very hard. Do you agree with this statement? Let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care. Hit the mic. I'm sorry. And peace.